Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff and Tam McManus are here with me as we look ahead to the first games after the split in the Scottish Premiership. There could be a title party at Tynecastle on the Sunday. Could be a title party tonight in the Championship as well. You can give us your view on that. We'll get the thoughts of the guys and we will also throw in our usual quiz question, and here it is. With the English Premier League getting down to the business end as well, how many seasons have Everton played top flight English football? Do you want to have a guess?
I don't think they've ever been relegated. So I'm going to go all the way back to when they were formed, which I don't know off the top of my head. So we're over 100 years.
And the number?
140.
140, Ruffy.
I would think they'd be formed in 86.
1886.
Yeah.
So what's that? What did you say?
140.
140.
Yeah, 132.
132, says Ruffy. Okay, we will find out. Hi to so many of you who have joined us, and thank you very much for guessing on this one. It's always good to get your guess in. We'll give you the answer by the end of today's programme. There's so much to talk about. Of course, we're talking about titles and who could win the title this weekend in the Scottish Premiership. It is, of course, Celtic. Tonight, it could be Dundee or Queen's Park as well. We'll discuss that. Give us your thoughts on it and anything else that's troubling you or indeed that you're delighted in about Scottish football. So with that in mind, you could be a Celtic fan looking forward to the title. You could be a Rangers fan wondering, are you going to go to Ibrox on Saturday to see Rangers against Aberdeen, I beg your pardon, on the Sunday. Give us your thoughts on whether you're going out there despite the fact there's no silverware. Are you still going to support your team? And of course, players, how many are coming in, how many are going out at your favourite team? We'd love to know. Hearts Celtic, Sunday, chance for Celtic to win the title, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think you want to win it as quick as possible. It's been a long season. You know, if you win it, I know there's only, 1,200 going there. I've already stated I'd rather, if it was a fixture, it was home in front of 60,000, but take it. And then for the next 4 games, you can celebrate every game that you've got to play, you know, and I think that's the main thing for the supporters, to get a chance to celebrate their team. What a fantastic season they've had so far.
Yeah, of course, Cameron Carter-Vickers has already undergone his surgery. He'll be out for this season, and then obviously hoping to be back just in time for the start of next season. Alistair Johnstone, it might be an injury that, you know, he's got to try and get fit for the cup final.
Yeah, listen, I wouldn't be rushing Alistair Johnstone back. I think that Celtic have got more than enough cover in that area and enough quality to beat Inverness in the final. I think you're looking to next season. I wouldn't be rushing him back and maybe picks up, you know, has a setback. Carter Vickers needs to get his knee. I think he needs to get that sorted out, and again, looking to next season, you know, I think that Celtic are going to win the treble, you know, whether they're playing or not. So I wouldn't be rushing them back. I'd make sure they were right for pre-season, because I wouldn't want them to rush them back and they miss a pre-season, because pre-season is so important to every football player. You've got to get that base level of fitness, and so as I said, I'd be looking ahead to next season for both of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, people want to get the title done quickly. I don't think you'll be thinking of yourself. I don't think the players will be thinking, well, you know, it doesn't matter what happens at Tynecastle, they could go to Ibrox and win it there. I don't think that's really on their mind.
No, I think tomorrow they'll start talking about records, you know, the most points won, the most goals scored, you know, all these kind of things will start getting thrown out there. And they've already had a Celtic team who were the Invincibles, and everybody, Celtic supporter, talks about that year. So this group of players and the manager will want some kind of records that they're beating, that the fans will be holding on to for the years to come.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to so many of you who have mentioned to us that we've got the wrong date on the show and the wrong day. Don't worry about that. We'll fix it for you. We're definitely Friday, Ruffy. Yes. We're definitely looking forward to the weekend. Mm-hmm. That's an absolute stonewall certainty.
Yeah, it certainly is. What day did we have anyway? Was it Monday?
No, this is no, we had Thursday, but it's definitely Friday, so don't worry about it. Winning the title, that's the key to it all. If you win the title, the best team wins the league, as Ange Postecoglou mentioned to everyone today.
And they know that there's you know, outcomes that can be pretty special at the end of it, but they've been pretty good at just being focused to playing our football. And you know, they're human beings. They know what's at stake, and they know what the potential of a positive result is. So they'll take that into the game, but within that context, they'll still, I think their focus will be clear on we've got to play our football. It's a difficult place to play. Their, Hearts have got, plenty to play for. So, the beauty of it is if we do it, we're going to have to earn it, and it's the only way you want to do it.
Yeah, it's been a relentless Celtic all the way through the season. I think a lot of people have watched and tried to work out how to beat them. Only St Mirren have managed it all those many months ago, Tam. Everybody else has tried to match them at times, but have come up short.
Yep, and I think that's probably maybe the only regret that Ange Postecoglou's got this season domestically, was playing a pretty much weakened team against St Mirren. I know they still had quality players, but they played a lot of guys that hadn't been playing. And they came on stuck. St Mirren deserved to win that day, but that's the only kind of blip this season domestically for Celtic. As I said, that's the only game they've lost. I think they'll go and win the treble comfortably, and that'll be that. But no, I think that Ange will be delighted with the season that they've had, and he'll be looking just to clinch the treble, finish the season strongly, clinch the treble, and then the next thing for him, I think, is try to make an imprint in the Champions League. And if they do that, then I think that Celtic will struggle to hold on to him.
What, struggle to hold on to him for the season after?
Yeah, I think if Celtic, we'll speak about draws, and if Celtic can get a kind draw in the Champions League, then they've got a wee opportunity. But I just think he needs to maybe take a big scalp, maybe beat I don't know, Real Madrid or Napoli. It's a big ask to beat somebody like that, but I think if he was to do well in the Champions League and qualify, then I think you would start to see more people in England sitting up and taking notice. He's been linked with a lot of jobs in England, but I don't think there's been any so far that would kind of whet his appetite in terms of leaving Celtic for. But if he makes an imprint in the Champions League and maybe qualifies, which is a tall ask, then I think you maybe see a top 4, top 6 club coming in for him.
Slowly but surely over the course of the season, Ruffy, we've been listening to Ange Postecoglou week in, week out. On occasions we've had the good fortune to chat to him on a more personal level to get his mindset. What in particular has impressed you about him and this Celtic team as they get now within an ace of winning the title?
Well, we all talk about players coming to a club at the right time. Celtic have been notorious through the years at not getting the right player in at the right time, particularly transfer windows haven't been used properly. I think the first thing that Ange has done, he's had the player in mind, and when he gets that player in mind, the player's there. He doesn't mess about behind the scenes. He knows immediately when to bring them in, and the good thing for Celtic is majority of them have been first team players, which is always a bonus. You don't want to see somebody coming in and taking 4 or 5 weeks to settle in. Anybody, or not, I say the majority of players he's brought in have went right into that first team and done well.
He's got a chance to take all the silverware domestically on offer, Tam, and even the players have got a chance to just sweep up at the Player of the Year awards.
Yeah, they have. I think that Celtic have dominated it. They've dominated Scottish football for a number of years, but they've dominated it this season. As we said, the only game they've lost, St Mirren. And I feel Ange made a mistake with the team selection that day, so it doesn't surprise me that Celtic, will have the majority of players in the Player of the Year categories. And as I said, no disrespect for Inverness, Celtic won the final the other day against Rangers, and I think they won that comfortably. And as I said, Ange is, he's dominating Scottish football, and the next step for him is European football. But it's up to Rangers we spoke about it before, but the overall standard of Scottish football, but Celtic can only keep doing what they're doing, and they're a juggernaut. They just keep winning games week after week after week. They're consistent performances. It's up to Rangers and Hibs, Hearts, Aberdeen to try and get better rather than Celtic coming back to them.
Well, for one game, Hearts are undoubtedly trying to spoil the party. Okay, we'll come back to that Hearts package for Hearts against Celtic. What Stevie Naismith has to do is quite simply emphasise to those players that they've got to try and not only spoil the party, Ruffy, but emphasise that maybe they have a future at Tynecastle. Yeah,
he's got to convince the board that he's the man for the job, and the only way he's going to do that if he takes scalps like Celtic, let's not forget there's going to be maybe 16,000 Hearts supporters there tomorrow. And if you beat Celtic, that get a long way for the supporters to say, right, you might be the man that's going to get this job, and then the board would do that accordingly, because your fans are happy, then they're happy. So he's got to really win these games, and it's not a dead game by any matter of means. Third place is still manageable, and they know how much third place and getting into Europe means to them, because they got a large amount of money last year. So that'll be the ambition for him as a new interim manager, to take Hearts into Europe.
Yeah, and of course, let's not forget, it all looked so rosy for them under Robbie Neilson. You know, in that final quarter, you're looking, you're saying to yourself, they could finish third, they're in the box seat, and then it all collapsed.
Yeah, it did. Listen, we spoke about it all season. Once Hearts are out of Europe, you would fancy them to motor on and finish third in a canter. You know, they hit a good patch of form, and then they just totally dropped off a cliff. You know, I think they lost, 6 in a row in the league. And it just so happened that Aberdeen hit a rich vein of form, and that 12 points was wiped out, 15 points was wiped out, you know, in 5 or 6 games. So, listen, Aberdeen have shown a lot of consistency. I think the Hearts are still in it, but they need to try and take something from Celtic, you know, and hope that Rangers beat Aberdeen. And then it's obviously going to come down to that big head-to-head at Tynecastle. I don't know what fixture it is. I think it's the next couple of fixtures where Hearts have got Aberdeen at home, and if they've got any aspirations of third place, they've got to win that. And I think they've got Hibs at home as well. So they're still in it, Hearts. I think they've got a slightly easier fixture list than Aberdeen. Aberdeen, I think, have got 3 away games, and 2 of them are Celtic and Rangers. So if you're a Hearts fan, you're still hanging on to a bit of hope for third place. But me personally, I think they've blown it.
Let's go to the Hearts camp now. Adam Binney was out at the Oriam.
Thanks, Peter. I'm at the Oriam this afternoon to speak to Stephen Naismith and Peter Haring as Hearts gear up for their test against Celtic at Tynecastle in the Scottish Premiership on Sunday. Now, everyone's talking about how this could be a title party for the travelling Celtic fans, but maybe forgetting that this is a huge match for Hearts as well. If they win this and in Aberdeen lose to Rangers on Sunday, the race for third is back into the hands of Hearts, who still have to play Aberdeen once before the end of the season. So speaking to midfielder Peter Haring, he's hoping that the Hearts fans will be the ones celebrating come 4 p.m. on Sunday.
But yeah, it's more. I think it's more a thing for the supporters. But I think no one wants to have another club celebrating anything at Tynecastle. So yeah, we hope we can avoid that.
Interim Hearts boss Stephen Naismith is enjoying his first taste of senior management, and he says he's full of admiration for the man who will be in the opposite dugout at the weekend. Celtic boss Ange Postecoglou.
I think I keep referring back to when he first came, and I can remember clearly the stick he was getting, and every pundit out there was questioning his ability as a manager. Yet now you don't see any one of them now, and that's because he's believed what he does works. He's made good recruitment decisions, and he's got formed a squad that have consistently performed best. So there's a lot to admire there. And as a young coach manager myself, you take lessons from that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the great thing about Stephen. I really do hope that, you know, if they're looking to the manager for next season, you know, he is a guy who we know, Ruffy, has got a lot to offer, and he's one of those guys that would quite happily take advice from all quarters to make himself a better manager.
Yeah, and he's done everything properly, even as a player. You know, he's moved on for the player, and he's done it the right way. He's went into the youth side at Tynecastle. You know, he's looked at other managers who've done particularly well. You know, but he knows, you know, and he just sounds like a manager. He sounds as if he's ready-made to make this step up, and we'll have to wait and see. But it's not many games to go to convince the board, because Hearts are a massive club. There will be contenders out there. You know, people are out of a job will fancy that job. So, like Aberdeen, they'll have to see who's happy, who's interested in it, and then decide what he's done. And then they'll have to make a decision.
Yeah, there's big decisions coming also in the summer term for the type of player that a new manager or Stephen Naismith would want to get Hearts into contention for third place for next season.
Yeah, there is, and I think over the piece, I think you know, Joe Savage and Robbie Neilson got it right in terms of recruitment. Unfortunately for Robbie, you know, they had a really, really bad patch of form, and that's cost him his job. You know, that 6-7 game spell where we're losing games has cost him dearly. But I think over the piece, the recruitment's been pretty good. They've got a lot of quality players still to come back from injury. You know, they're missing, you know, guys like Halkett, you know, Craig Gordon, Benningham in the middle of the park, Boyce. There's a spine of your team. There's 4 very good players who have missed, you know, all season really. So I think once Hearts get to the summer and they get those kind of players back, they'll have a very, very strong squad going forward. But Ruffy's right. Listen, Stephen, he's in the driving seat. You know, he's in the box seat to get that job at the minute. It's the same as Barry Robson. If you go and you get results, you make yourself, you know, in the picture, and Aberdeen don't look anywhere else, or Hearts, sorry, don't look anywhere else. So You know, these are big games. Celtic, Rangers, you know, Hibs. You know, he's in the top 6. You know, they're difficult games, but if he can get 2 or 3 wins out of this and maybe finish third, then he'll get the job.
What's your prediction?
I think Celtic will be too strong. You know, I actually think that Hearts will go kind of chasing the game, you know, in front of the home support, and I think that Celtic will pick them off. I've went for Celtic to win 4-1.
4-1.
Yes.
Wow. I've got them. I've got Celtic.
I don't.
I've got Celtic to win 3-1. Ruffy, what about yourself?
I'm the same, you know, and to contradict myself, I'm a wee bit worried that Johnson's out, Cameron Vickers is out, so it's not the back 4 that you're used to seeing, but I think they've got enough in reserve to come in, and I think I went 3-1 Celtic.
Yeah, okay. Give us your thoughts on that. Do you think Celtic will want to make sure it's all in the bag at Tynecastle, secure the title, and then party their way to the end of the season with the knowledge that the last domestic trophy is in offer at Hampden on June 3rd? Can they get the treble, which would be the 5th treble in 7 seasons for Celtic? And one of the pictures this morning, I think, actually highlighted that Callum McGregor and James Forrest have been part of those treble wins. That is incredible, isn't it? Yeah,
well, that's who you want to see at club. You want to see 2 young boys who've come right through, you know, every stage of their professional career, you know, and one of them was a ball boy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
For a while, you know, so you don't get that happening at any clubs at all nowadays, modern days. So, you know, these 2 players deserve everything they've got, and at the end of the day, I've always said you can have as much money in the bank as you like, but for me it's medals, and the medal toll that they've got is absolutely something that they'll remember for the rest of their life.
Okay, that's Hearts against Celtic. What about Rangers Aberdeen? Malik Tillman has gone back to Munich. Obviously he's out with a hamstring injury, and he's got a big decision to make, and Rangers have got a big decision to make. Do they pull out all the stops to get Malik Tillman and build that team around him as a youngster at 20 years of age, or do they use their money elsewhere, Tam?
I think they use the money elsewhere. I've been impressed with him at times this season. I think that he showed in flashes that he's a very, very good player, quality player, and it could be a good investment. I've been down the road watching them. Yeah, Rangers should pay the money. Then I've thought, shouldn't they pay the money? So overall, if you look at it over the whole season, £5 million is too big an outlay for Rangers, and you're talking about, you know, that is a huge part of their transfer budget. I don't know what Rangers' transfer budget is, but that would be a huge chunk of it, and you're buying potential, you know, and I get that, and to go and maybe sell them in the future, but Rangers need to sign players for now. They need to try and stop Celtic. Celtic are dominating Scottish football, so £5 million a big risk, a big gamble on a player who you could sell for 10-15 million in 2 or 3 years, but you maybe not. So for me overall, £5 million, no. I would try and get him on loan for another season.
Ruffy?
Yeah, I've said that all along. It's the better way ahead. I don't think he's going to be playing for Bayern. You know, I don't think he's at that stage yet, so he wouldn't be in their first team. I know they're struggling a wee bit just now, but I still don't think he's good enough. He has showed it, you know, that he's got something, but he showed it against the teams you'd expect him to show it at. You know, he hasn't shown it at the big games, and that's against Celtic. You know, and if he'd grabbed any of their games by the scruff of the neck and been the man of the match, you know, as Kyogo does, or Hatate does, or McGregor does, then you would say, well, this boy's got something. But for me, he's not proved it at the highest level yet. So, like Tam, I think it's an enormous outlay when you're talking about 10 new players coming in.
Yeah, you're talking 10, some have mentioned 12, who knows how many. Rangers is a 3 o'clock kick-off on the Sunday, 2:15 for Hearts against Celtic. We sent Kerry Pollock out to the Rangers training centre today.
At the Rangers training centre this afternoon, Michael Beale spoke about what he hinted at last weekend, and that was that the club had to go under one of its biggest rebuilds it's seen in years. But despite the uncertainty from the Rangers support, the Gers boss says he's excited by what he called the new Rangers.
The recruitment side of things is, as I say, a long way down the road. I'm excited by it, I'm energised by it, and I think you will certainly see a new Rangers, but at the moment I still think the team have performed to a decent level, and it's been a disappointing season, but you know, the quickest way is to recruit well, come back fresh, strong, and go again. And I'm excited about the change of the club.
As for 2 household names here at Rangers, Alfredo Morelos and Ryan Kent, both their contracts run out this summer, and Beale says they haven't been offered anything for next season here at the club, but also confirmed that both players have been given the freedom to look elsewhere.
Been two fantastic players for the club, and both represented the club very well, been important players for a number of years. In terms of their situation, there's nothing to speak about really big outside, other than we've had the conversations inside, we're mutually in the same place of what should happen. We haven't come forward with a contract offer for either, and both of those have been free to speak to other clubs for a while now. But in terms of the next 5 games, they're Rangers players, and they'll continue to be so until anything's announced officially.
Do you think you'll play them between now and the end of the season, Ruffy?
We play Kent. I don't know about Morelos. I think if Cholak was available, Morelos wouldn't be seen or heard of, because...
Sakala?
Well, we spoke about Sakala in the last game. He could play him up front to help them Celtic with a bit of pace, but he didn't seem to think that way. He seemed to think that Morelos was the best shout. I don't think it would be a gamble playing Sakala against the teams that he's got to play in the run-in, apart from the Celtic game, that is. But, we'll have to wait and see. He needs to keep winning games. He needs to keep winning games because, as you keep telling us, season tickets are around the corner. And you've got to win games to sell season tickets. You can't go into this last 5 games and win 2 out of 3, because the supporters are going to then start doubting, who are you bringing in here to change all this? What kind of players are we bringing in that you're going to... He's saying he's excited. It remains to be seen whether the supporters are excited, with the start of names that are getting banded about.
Do you know what I'd love to see, Tam? If you're a fly on the wall, you'd love to see the A4 sheet of paper here, which has they're leaving, and they don't have a future, and the A4 here with a list of here's who I really want, here's secondary option, here's third option, and then of course the other thing, which is the real rabbit out of the hat for me, is the chairman walking down and saying, and by the way, we've got investment coming, so you might be able to look at a higher grade of player again.
It's all going to boil down to money, Peter. I think if Rangers have got the money to go into the market and sign quality players, then it makes Michael Beale's job easier. If he's scrapping about looking for threes, in the Championship, Swansea's, QPRs, teams like that, I don't think those players are going to frighten Celtic. But if he's got a big transfer pot, and I'm talking 10, 15, 20 million, he go and spend in players, then it makes his job easier. He's looking at a higher level of player who can come straight into the team. But no, it will be. Listen, I wouldn't play Kent Morelos. I think I would just say thanks very much for your service. I said it last week. You're not going to be part of us moving forward. We're going to be playing players who are going to be here next season. So thank you, and I would try and give opportunities to players that he maybe thinks are going to be there next season. Sakala's probably one. He took a lot of criticism last week for the big chance he missed, but I think he is part of Rangers going forward. I think he's got something to offer as a squad player. And you've got several other guys. Alex Lowry's another young player, so I think he's got to be looking at players, Peter, who are going to be there next season and play them the last 5 games, rather than looking at Morelos and Kent, who are simply not going to be there.
Raskin will be there next season, Ruffy, and he reckons this is going to be a great stepping stone for him, the Scottish Premiership, because he wants to eventually play for Chelsea. I mean, why would you want to play for a club where you really don't get a chance to get to know...
a relegation battle?
I was going to say, you don't get to know the manager because he's in and out every 3 months.
Yeah, but if the guy says you have to be 100 grand a week,
absolutely.
Can I get a 4-year deal? No, Raskin's another one, that he looks the part. Again, he's not grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck either. He might just need a wee bit to settle. He obviously looks as if he's got something in him, but I think he'll be the kind of player that would react to the kind of new players that are coming in. I think if there's quality players coming in, he will respond to who he's playing with. But I think there's time still out in him, but I don't think he's been a failure.
Yeah. Before we talk about Aberdeen, Andrew Breslin says, I'm hearing big investment coming to Ibrox. Let me tell you, Andrew, far be it from me to discount it. If there isn't big investment coming to Ibrox, I'll tell you what's facing Rangers next season is just constantly playing catch up, because there needs to be something coming from that Rangers boardroom that suggests that there's a lot of money there for a manager who wants 10, 12 players.
Yeah, and I think Rangers need 10 players, 12 players. I think they've got they've got to restructure their full front line in terms of wide men strikers. You maybe needing 4 or 5 players in that area. And Rangers need big investment. As I said, if Michael Beale's got under £10 million to spend, then I don't think that's enough to topple Celtic. I don't think that's enough to get closer to Celtic.
How much do you think he needs?
Oh, he needs 20 million. He needs 20 million plus. He needs massive investment, because I look at that Celtic team and that squad, and I don't see Rangers getting closer, maybe getting free transfers and guys at £1-2 million. You know, unless you're picking up real gems, you need to go and sign guys at £4-5 million, maybe 2 or 3 of them, and then the rest, you know, made up of £1-2 million players. Because if you're in that market, you're buying guys for Norwich and Swansea and teams like that, and free transfers and £1 million. I don't think that's going to scare Celtic, because I think Celtic will spend 15-20 million next year. You know, and they'll get better again. So Rangers need to match that.
1, 2, 3 players.
Maybe 3 or 4 players. I think that Celtic will be in the market for starters. They won't be in the market for squad fillers. They'll be looking at a real top striker, maybe centre half, centre midfield, wide players. You know, but I think that Rangers need 15-20 million pounds.
See, with all the movement and the board and things happening behind the scenes, I'm just wondering if that American consortium's still hanging about. You know, I think if they...
Well, if anything, I'm hearing it's more the Asian market that they're really looking to.
I just feel with the movement and people standing aside and who have said, no, we're not wanting this new group that's in might be a wee bit attractive. Somebody comes with a proper lucrative deal, you know, that they come in and offer the 20-30 million that Tom's talking about. I think this might be the right time, you know, for something like that.
No, this is the time, Ruffy. There's no waiting on season tickets to fund it.
No, but you've got to, the people that are coming in, the consortium that are coming in, you've got to make sure they're the right investors. You've got to make sure they're coming in for the right reason. You know, and not just to come in and then bail out after 5 or 6 years. You know, I think you've got to watch.
It's a very difficult thing to try and establish that, Ruffy, to be honest with you.
No, but I'm only saying the American consortium because they seem to be coming in, coming out. So there must be a hokey deal. They're definitely interested, and they obviously have had meetings to say, and the old sort of a board that went, no, we don't want your money. But now there's new people in there with new ideas. They might be coming back, and don't forget, Dave King's still hovering about with all his shares. You know, he's always got something to say, and the supporters have always got something to say when his name pops up.
The problem that Rangers have got as well is they've not got any players they can sell to fund it. You know, if Rangers had a Ryan Kent 2 or 3 years ago, or a Morelos 2 or 3 years ago at the minute, and you're getting 10-50 million for them, then you could sell them, and that could help you in your transfer pot. There's nobody in that Rangers team now that's going to go for big money, and that's a problem as well. Celtic could sell Hatate tomorrow for £10 million, in my opinion. They could sell Abada for £8-10 million. Carter Vickers, you know, they've got guys, sellable assets that if they think that we're going to have a right goal, we're going to, they could go and sell them to have a real big transfer pot. Rangers have not got that, and that's a disappointment for the fans as well, that they've not got 1 or 2 players that they can sell, you know, to fund the overall team.
The Celtic supporters will be hoping that Celtic don't fall into the same trap sometimes they did, when they think they're so far ahead of Rangers, they don't go that next level. You know, I think a lot of supporters were saying, I hope we've learnt our lessons here. The players you're bringing in are great, you know, let's kick on. Let's experience European football. Let's get further away. Let's turn that 13 points into 20 points.
Are you talking about the people who killed the 10, Ruffy?
Well, no names.
Why? Because you still want people to like you. Ruffy, there are times when people could not like you.
No, I'm just saying that Celtic supporters know there have been times through when they could have kicked on big time. You know, obviously Rangers were out the game for 4 years, but they seem to say, well, we don't really need to, because they're not here, but they are here now, and they're talking about investment. So I think the Celtic supporters will be saying, well, I hope we're doing the same, and I'm sure they will. I don't have any doubts that Ange is already identifying 2 or 3 players.
Okay, it'll be interesting to see, after all the hype, there's a lot of sound bites that try and convince the fans that there's a new dawn, but you know, football fans have seen it all before. They're longer in the tooth and know when it's all bluster. We're about to find out with clubs how many players are going to come in, if indeed it's the calibre of player that can retain a title obviously maybe win it and stop the current dominance that Celtic have? All these questions will start to materialise as you look over the summer months coming, but there's still a bit to play for. Aberdeen certainly want to finish the season strongly. 7 consecutive wins. Barry Robson absolutely flying, given the new job as the permanent manager at Aberdeen. And of course last night we're all celebrating because Duke was awarded Aberdeen's Player of the Year. The young man Leighton Clarkson, the on loan Liverpool attacker, he got Young Player of the Year as well, and there's still something to play for when they go to Ibrox. There'll be a wee bit of needle because of what happened at Pittodrie, but Aberdeen want to cement their third position.
Yeah, all of a sudden Aberdeen is a vibrant, buoyant club to be at. It wasn't that they were on their knees when Darvel beat them and they lost 6-0 and 5-0 to Hibs and Hearts.
Been a crazy season, hasn't it?
It's a massive roller coaster for Aberdeen. They were, as I said, lower than a snake's belly at that point, and now they're vibrant. They're going for third in the league. They've got sellable assets. They've got players coming through. They've got a manager who's just won Manager of the Month. So, no, for Aberdeen, I think it's great. Player of the Year awards last night. Don't think it was any surprise that those two players won the awards. Duke been fantastic this season. A great number of goals and assists, and Leighton Clarkson, obviously up and loan from Liverpool, winning Young Player of the Year. So, no, I think it's a great club to be at the minute. Everything's positive, and they'll be looking forward to coming down to Ibrox tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. They might be looking forward to it on Sunday, but I've got Aberdeen Rangers to win 2-1.
On the evidence in the last game at Pittodrie, I know Aberdeen won it, but the first half I think Rangers created enough chances, and if they'd taken them, I think they'd have won that game quite comfortably. So I'm going to go for a Rangers win as well. I'm going to go Rangers to win 2-0.
2-1 Rangers for me.
Okay. Hibs against St Mirren. The Hibees, are you optimistic now? They've got a new director of football in there, and they've also got a manager who will get another transfer window after all. How many's that he's had? 3?
Yes, this will be his third. No, listen, I'm delighted that Hibs have managed to get someone in. I think it's very, very important, in that role that you get somebody in before the summer. So he can now, look at the squad they've got in the last 5 games. He can sit together with Ben Kensel and Lee Johnstone, and they can identify the areas in the team that they need to strengthen for next season. And I think that's important to do it now, rather than doing it in July, August, when it's too late. So Brian McDermott comes up. Listen, I don't know a lot about him. He's a very good career as a coach at Reading. In particular, he's been scouting for a number of years. He's got a lot of contacts in England. I've seen today that he'd obviously done a wee bit of work for Celtic as well, so he knows the Scottish market. There'll be a lot of Hibs fans out there thinking, well, what does this guy know about Scottish football? But I don't think it's a prerequisite you need to know Scottish football to be a director of football. I think his contacts will be all over the place. And that's in England, in Europe, abroad. So no, I think that he will come in and hopefully does well, but he'll live and die by results and recruitment, the same as a manager. But as I said, I'm glad he's in now. They've got 5 games from now at the end of the season. They can sit down and say, like we need a right back, we need a left back, we need a striker, he's leaving. We need to renew his contract, different things, and they can get it done looking ahead to next season, because that's what Hibs are doing. They've got an outside chance obviously getting into Europe, but I think you're now looking ahead to the start of next season for Hibs. Yeah, absolutely, with not only as many points as possible that get you a financial reward, but European football would be absolutely massive, which is why Lee Johnstone reckons this game is huge for the club.
I'd go as far as to say I think it's the biggest game of the season. That's how big I think it is. I think the last time I looked, we had 15,500, if you like, coming into Easter Road. I want more. And I know there'll be a big walk-up, which will be tomorrow, but I want the fans to understand how big a game this is for us. It's a great game, we're in the top 6.
Yeah, massive game.
A massive game. It's not the biggest game.
No,
biggest game's against Hearts.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the big game. If he's wanting 20,000 Hibs supporters through the doors for the rest of the season, got to beat Hearts. And that's what they'll respond to. They're not any different for Rangers and Celtic. They're the rivals. They're the ones that are above you in the league. So it is a big game, but I don't think it's the biggest game. But if there's a large contingent of Hibs supporters going to that game tomorrow, yeah, you have to win it as well. But we keep sitting here every Friday and go, you got to win your home games, and every time we say that, they don't win them.
Yeah, we could stand if you want, and just say it as well, whatever takes your fancy. Yeah, I'm not going to debate what one's the biggest game, but what I would say to you is, it would be absolutely fantastic when you see how vital all the games are, Tam, that we got to May 27th and suddenly at Tynecastle, Hearts Hibs was the battle for 4th place.
Yep, and as I said, if Hibs can win tomorrow, you know, they go a point behind Hearts, and Hearts are playing the champions elect, so it just puts the pressure on the teams above them, and Aberdeen are away to Rangers. So all of a sudden, if you just can get 3 points tomorrow against St Mirren's, right, then you put yourself right in the shake-up for the top 4. I think Aberdeen are too far ahead. I think they're 9 points ahead. You're not going to make that up. But 4th place will get European football, I think, this season. So, you know, if they can plus, you know, if they finish 4th, they're going to finish above Hearts. So, you know, from 3 months ago, even 2 months ago, sitting here thinking Hearts are going to finish 3rd and Hibs might not even make the top 6. For Hibs to actually go and finish above Hearts and get European football, it'll be some turnaround for Lee Johnson. So that's probably why he's saying it's the biggest game. He knows how important this is. But they've got to beat a St Mirren team who have been very, very good this season and strong. Beat Hearts a couple of weeks ago at Tynecastle. You know, so they'll be looking to do the Edinburgh double. It'll be a tough game, but if Hibs can take 3 points here, they are right in the shake-up to finish above Hearts.
Yeah, and let's not forget St Mirren have got something to play for as well, because St Mirren are on the same points as Hibs, so it's the same permutation, a chance to actually just close that gap on Hearts for Stephen Robinson's side. So Patrick Mullen was out there today in Paisley.
Here at the St Mirren training ground this morning, Stephen Robinson spoke ahead of his side's trip to Hibernian on the weekend. Despite making the top 6 for the first time in the club's history, Stephen Robinson believes that his side have more than enough to make it into Europe.
We've taken points off every single team in the top 6, so there's certainly not a fear factor, and we believe in what we do.
St Mirren and Hibs currently sit level on points in the league table, but Stephen Robinson does not believe that a negative result this weekend would be the end of their European dreams.
No, we don't work like that here. It's not boom and bust. I know football is, and Scottish football is getting more like it. You know, you lose, you're rubbish, you win, you're great. We try and have a steady head and know what we're trying to do. You know, obviously, if we won, it puts us in a great position.
I also spoke to Alexander Gogic, who will be taking on his former side Hibs this weekend, and he spoke about the excitement of making the top 6 and a potential European push.
Oh, we're excited, you know, we achieved our aim to finish top 6, but now obviously we don't want to just be there. So as you said, we want to do a good push and hopefully get something tomorrow, because obviously we're both in equal points, so it'd be a good result, would mean a lot.
Alex Gogic looks fearsome at the best of times, Tam. If I was
anyway, bumping into him in a dark alley, would you?
If I was in the tunnel with him, I'd say, Alex, is there any chance you could just let me off today without getting
a bit of Jason Statham about him, isn't he?
Yeah, or even Statham. Yeah, it's a day. By the way, you two are murder. So, what are we going for?
I think Hibs will win, 2-1.
Hibs, I've got 2-1.
I've got Hibs as well.
What have you got?
I think it's 2-0, I think.
Right, so you don't actually know, right? So we've got to look for you.
Yes, the green.
Yeah, Hibs 2-0. Okay, fairly straightforward, Ruffy. Motherwell against Kilmarnock, and now we're getting to what I would call the bottom end, where it really is cutthroat. What's going to happen at this match at Fir Park? Of course, the Motherwell manager, Stuart Kettlewell, has already been talking about players that he could be keeping in that side. But of course, he's also looking to try and finish the season strongly. Can he continue against a side who've got a poor away record? Well, the manager from Motherwell's not buying into that.
I think it's been well documented. The majority of their points have came at home. That's a fact that they've got their first away win the last time out against St Mirren. I think they've been pretty close to it at times as well, and I think Derek will tell you that. So I don't buy into that record too much. And from our point of view, I think we know exactly what we're going to face.
Yeah, Motherwell's home record's not that great. Killy's away record is abysmal.
Yeah, and listen, I think that Kilmarnock take a lot of confidence from that result at St Mirren. I think they get some monkey off the back. You know, they hadn't won away from home all season in the league. They go there and they win the game comfortably. You know, so that's got to give them a boost. Motherwell coming off the back of a great result against Celtic. You know, and he seems to have got them going. You know, motoring, they're working hard every game. They've got a striker banging form. So it's a difficult one to call this one for me. I've sat in the fence with one each. I think that Kilmarnock have just got more to play for, and I think that they'll get a point, they'll nick a point, but I think Van Veen will score for Motherwell and get himself closer to that 30.
Yeah.
So I'll go for one each in that game.
Yeah, Niall Kane is a big Motherwell fan, says 2-0 to Motherwell, Van Veen with a double. You couldn't rule it out because, as you know, Ruffy, once a player just starts banging in goals right, left and centre, even against the bigger clubs, the confidence is sky high.
Yeah, you're a striker. You know, Tam will know more than me. When you're scoring goals and you get a chance to score a goal, you think 100% I'm going to hit the target, I'm going to score. You know, your confidence is high every opportunity you get, and even the ones you miss. You know, at least if you know you're scoring your fair share, and he's scoring his fair share, and he'll be a problem for Kilmarnock tomorrow. There's no doubt about that. I just think home advantage for Motherwell with that result at Parkhead. I think I went for them to win.
What about Derek McInnes? Patrick Mullen's been covering the miles today.
I spoke to Derek McInnes this afternoon ahead of his side's trip to take on Motherwell tomorrow. That will be the first game in the relegation group of the split, but McInnes says his side are excited for the fight ahead.
There's a pressure to win all the time for footballers and managers, so it's no different. We feel we're really looking forward to the fight. We're looking forward to trying to get teams who are above us at the minute, rein them in, hunt them down, get after them, and the only way of doing that is picking up positive results.
Kevin Van Veen has been Motherwell's main man up front this season, scoring 20 goals, with 2 of them coming against Kilmarnock, and Derek McInnes was full of praise for the Netherlands striker.
Simply, when you've got a goal scorer at the top end of the pitch who's been a real talisman for them, even prior to Stuart coming in, he was so key. I think he'd won them so many points, and I think these types of players are worth their weight in gold to every club. If you've got that one at the top end of the pitch, you can separate a poor performance into a good result, whether it's a losing performance into a draw, or 1 point into 3, and I think Van Veen has produced that over the time. You know, I think he's a player I tried to take previously when I was at Aberdeen from Scunthorpe.
Yeah, and that's something that really has been the reason why Kelly find themselves in the bottom half. They haven't had that 20-goal striker.
No, they haven't. Christian Doidge has managed to get a couple of goals in recent weeks, so maybe he's the one that could maybe fire in a few goals from the end of the season. But you're right, they've been relatively solid in the league. You know, I can't recall many real tankings that Kilmarnock have had. They've been very good at home, but as you said, they've even got a 15-goal a season striker. You know, so for Motherwell to have that is massive. If Kilmarnock had Van Veen in their team, you know, they'd be pushing up. They'd be in the top 6 for me because their home form's been that good. So listen, he'll be aware that they've got to try and keep Van Veen quiet tomorrow. If they do that, then I think they're every chance of getting the result. But as Ruffy says, I think Van Veen, everything in front of goal at the minute seems to be going in, and I think that he'll bang an goal in tomorrow.
Prediction?
I'm going to go for 1 each. I think Kelly can get a draw.
Okay, I'm going Motherwell 2-0.
2-1 for me.
2-1 for Motherwell.
Yes.
Okay, Ruffy. I'll tell you, maybe an idea for us to get down to Kilmarnock. The weather looks great. I mean, Derek was looking fantastic there, wasn't he?
Climate, didn't he?
Yeah.
Definitely knew Jimmy Calderwood.
Yeah.
Take over for Jimmy Calderwood.
In what
really.
respect?
Mahogany.
Oh, the tan. Oh, he looks.
He's not went 4-2-4 yet.
Yeah.
It's not tactics.
But to be fair, let's not knock it. Jimmy was. I loved actually going to press conferences. Jimmy Calderwood was absolutely top drawer, and of course, you know, at times the Dons fans and many a fan loved the way he set his teams out, Ruffy.
Well, he entertains, you know, most of the teams he went, you know, whether you like it or not. It's okay when you're entertaining, you're winning games, but if you're entertaining and not winning them, you know what's going to happen. And but I think he gave the Aberdeen supporters a good run.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned Jimmy Calderwood there. You know, I think lots of people wish him the absolute best, and his family. He's a great character in Scottish football. Sadly, at the moment, you know, he's got his troubles with his health, but brilliant lad, love him. St Johnstone against Dundee United. Well, you know, Jim Goodwin has just highlighted how crazy Scottish football is over the season, and now after 3 consecutive wins, Jim Goodwin has United thinking about a higher place finish rather than relegation.
You know, we're looking up the way now, whereas maybe a few weeks ago St Johnstone thought that they were safe and that they were out of the mix of relegation. They've now been very much dragged into it, and it's up to myself and it's up to Derek McInnes at Kilmarnock to really keep that pressure on them and see how they handle it.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing, if Dundee United were to win and Kelly win as well, suddenly it is squeaky bum time for St Johnstone. Yeah, it is, and as I said, I think the way the fixtures have worked out, I think they're away to Kilmarnock and away to Ross County. You know, so they're big games. I think that Dundee United will take. I think they've sold 2,700 tickets. They're looking for more. You know, and that's a bit of obviously a local derby, Tayside derby. So I would fancy Dundee United strong in this game to win the game. I think their confidence is high at the minute. Their big players are starting to score goals. McGrath, Fletcher,
look more solid at the back, couple of clean sheets. So I'd really fancy Dundee United here to win this game. I'm going to go for 2-0 United.
Would you like to see McGrath at Hibs?
Yes, I think he's struggled a little bit in the early part of the season, but I think you can see now his quality. He scored some big goals for Dundee United. He's got a great goal scoring record in the league. Firstly at St Mirren, now latterly with Dundee United. He's an Ireland international, and I think that Hibs will win for him this summer.
Yeah, okay, I've got 2-1 for Dundee United in this one, Ruffy.
No, I think the two of them are still battling. I know where you're coming through with St Johnstone. Their form hasn't been that good, but if I was in the St Johnstone team, I'd be kicking everything in sight.
Yeah.
And
above the grass?
Above the grass, below the grass, anywhere.
Yeah.
One each I've went.
Okay, it's going to be interesting. What do you think? Who's going down? Ross County, Livingston. I think Livingston have a season where they look back on what might have been. Certainly a lot of positive performances and a lot of players that have attracted attention. And I think if any of them command a fee, Davy Martindale will be trying to use it wisely for the start of next season. Even though, I mean, it was a chilling reminder to everyone that a club like Livingston rely on investment from other sources, because less than 100 season tickets sold is not great. I think Davy probably highlighted it just to maybe alert people to say, look, if you don't want to make the journey to Glasgow, if you don't want to go to Edinburgh, why not just get a season ticket, come here and watch Livy. You'll get entertained, there'll be the odd shock, there'll be the odd scalp that you'll be able to celebrate.
Yeah, and I think they've had a great season, and just the scouting, the last 4 or 5 games, but if you're a Livingston supporter, you've got to realise, your crowds aren't particularly good. The players, as Davy's been saying, aren't on great wages compared to everybody else, so you've got to take all these things into consideration. So I think for what he's got, the players have given him a right good run for their money this season, and they should get, their supporters should give them every pat in the back that's available. It is, going to be a difficult one. Now, I don't know, with that many players moving on, I don't know what their mindset is getting into games like that. I'm not saying they would down tools, and not try for the club, but I just think Ross County have got more to play for, and particularly with Ross County at home, I've went for Ross County to win 2-1.
Oh, interesting. That could be a change at the top of the table.
No, Ross County for me as well, Peter.
Oh, you going for Ross County
Ross
as
County,
well?
I think they need to win the game. They're 4 points adrift. This is a game they have to win.
Yeah.
I think that all the pressure is on Ross County, but I think that Livingston will come up and listen, I'm not saying they're quite in holiday mode at the minute, but there's no chance of getting relegated or being in the playoffs. They've got a lot of players out of contract who I think will be looking after themselves.
Wow.
Rightfully so. So I'd fancy Ross County here as well. I'm going to go for 2-1 to Ross County.
Okay, I can't split them. I've got it 1-1. Although Malky knows that this is the point. We've been saying that they're going to break away because
they need to win.
But
they need to win
injuries
tomorrow,
to Brophy, I think, has been a real blow for them as well.
They need to win tomorrow. Yep. I think if they don't win tomorrow, they are just about relegated.
Okay, interesting time. Dundee take on Queen's Park. It's going down to the final game, and our man Adam Binney sets the scene for us.
Queen's Park host Dundee at Oakview Park tonight in the match that will decide the winners of the Scottish Championship. On the final day of the season, it is all still to play for. Dundee have the advantage as they sit 2 points clear of the Spiders, knowing just a point will seal the title and promotion to the Scottish Premiership. For winger Paul McMullen, the 2 point cushion adds some comfort, but he insists Dundee will go out with the intention to win the match.
Of course, the points are almost your fallback. You go there to try and win, and if they score, you'll know you only need one goal to get an equaliser, or if you're, say, with 5 minutes to go, you're drawn, you can maybe hold off a wee bit and then they maybe start to warm up a wee bit. So it is nice to have that wee in the back pocket, but say we'll be going to try and win the game and hopefully winning it like that.
Tonight, Queen's Park have the opportunity to achieve their third promotion in 4 years, making it all the way from the 4th tier of Scottish football to the Scottish Premiership. Although Dundee are 2 points clear, the title is still in Owen Coyle's side's hands, knowing a home win tonight will clinch them promotion. For winger Dom Thomas, the prospect of a final day title decider is something that he would have taken all season long.
If somebody had offered you that at the start of the season, you would have burnt their hand off. One game at home will have been good, and there's the group of boys. They're a great group of boys, and especially even after the disappointing result on Saturday, we knew it was still all to play for on Friday. So it's been a great positive week and one that we are really looking forward to.
So, who do you think will come out on top? Will Dundee return to Scotland's top flight, or will Queen's Park dine at the top table for the first time in 65 years?
Well, I've been saying Dundee, you know, for the last quarter. They can only blow it now. I think they've got enough.
Yeah, I think Owen Coyle's quite right. They've thrown the kitchen sink at it financially. I know for a fact that the players are on 3 times more than the average player in the Championship. So if they don't go up, it's going to be a financial crisis up there. You know, they've already stated, you know, that the financial situation they're in, so they need to be in the Premier League. I think they've got Queen's Park at the right time. Queen's Park went off the boil. I think they've been tremendous all year. They can't seem to find that second goal to win games. They might get a goal, but can't get the second one. I thought Dundee were poor last week against Cove, so it's a nervy night. So for me, it's all about who takes the situation and get the wee rub of the green here and there. You've got to fancy Dundee with the 2 points advantage to go into the game, knowing a draw's enough.
Yeah, what are you going for?
I'm going to go for a draw.
Yeah, I'm going 2-1 Dundee.
I think Dundee will win the game. I think if Dundee score the first goal, so as Ruffy says, it's a long, long way back for Queen's Park. I think if Queen's Park score the first goal, Dundee know they only did an equaliser to win the league. So if Dundee blow this, it will be one of the biggest bottle jobs I have seen in a long time.
Yeah.
They've drew the last 3 games, and if they get beat tonight, they'll have took 3 points for the last 12 and they'll lose the league by a point. So I'm hoping that's not the case, because if it is the case and they go into the playoffs, they've absolutely no chance of going into the playoffs after blowing the league.
I mean, I'm trying to think. It's such a great line that you've delivered there, Tam. I mean, Newcastle springs to mind as United eventually reeling them in. I seem to remember, I think Davy Hayes' Celtic were ahead for a considerable part of the season before Aberdeen reeled them in under Sir Alex. I'm trying to think. I wonder if people can help us on some of the biggest blowouts in title history.
Yeah, I can't remember it top of the head, but I would say if...
Why not? If you're 71, you've got all that experience. Surely there's one in your head.
I've got a bigger point to make. In hindsight, if Queen's Park hadn't sold Simon Murray, they'd be in the Premier League.
Right. Okay.
I think that's a big mistake.
Yeah.
I don't know the circumstances of why he had to go, or maybe he had it in his contract or whatever. But if Simon Murray had stayed at Queen's Park would be in the Premier League.
Yeah, thanks to Jimbo, I think, who says that, I think it was 1980, Peter. Billy McNeil was the manager when that happened. I can remember Celtic being reeled in by Aberdeen after being so far out in front. Thanks for that, Jimbo. But big blowouts, teams that looked as if they were odds on to win the title and then it all collapsed. Can you remember any? It would be good to get your thoughts on it. There's been a few down through the years. Raith Rovers have confirmed a new consortium that's got a controlling stake in the club. Dean McKenzie, Colin Smart, Rory Kilgour, Andrew Barman, Stephen McDonald and Alan Halliday. So suddenly they're in there. They've got an immediate short-term goal on what they want to do on and off the field. And then, you know, they've got Partick Thistle at home in the Championship. They'll want to try, after tonight's game, to outline to the Raith Rovers fans what their vision is.
Yeah, listen, it's obviously a big change. I think that John Potter left Kilty. I think he's going to be involved. I think it's at Raith Rovers as well. Don't know whether he's going to be a director of football or a coach or a mat, I don't know, but it must be concerning times for Ian Murray, who's done a good job at Raith Rovers. I think when the board and directors that brought him in have all left, you know, there's a new board in and new directors, new owners. You know, is his job safe? I think that Ian's done very, very well at Raith Rovers. I'd like to think it would be. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of change at the Raith Rovers. But if the people coming on board, the new owners, have got more money, deeper pockets, then that can only be good for Raith Rovers and give them a real opportunity to get back into the top flight for the first time in a long time. Okay,
Jags to win, Ruffy?
A draw would do.
Yeah.
I think the second position is something that's very important, that you don't play all these games. So I think if they get a draw, that would be good enough. But I think Raith Rovers have got a couple of their players back that were suspended, wee boy Vaughan. So it'll be a difficult one. I was saying Ian Murray, they've only been, what did I say, 4 times they've only been beaten at home. It's a nervy night for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we're about to find out who's going to get into that playoff, who's got the best position for the playoffs, for the right to battle to try and take on one of the Scottish Premiership sides, and it always favours them, to be honest with you. Okay, here's the English Premier League. After Brighton dispatched one solitary goal past Manchester United to get the win. and it's Bournemouth, Chelsea, Man City, Leeds, Wolves, Aston Villa, Tottenham, Crystal Palace, Liverpool, Brentford. Then on the Sunday, Newcastle, Arsenal, West Ham against Man United. And then on the Monday, it's Fulham, Leicester, Brighton, Everton, and Nottingham Forest against Southampton. So the games are running out. City are getting ever closer to the title. Arsenal will battle right to the end, but it's a forlorn hope for me now.
Yeah, as I don't see Man City tripping up now. I think the Arsenal have blown it.
What about the bottom, Tam? Leeds. 4 games.
Yeah,
that's a great contract, isn't it?
Big Sam's got a great contract in there, £2.5 million if he keeps them up. 4 games work. Their first 2 games are Man City away and Newcastle at home, so they're going to get 0 points out of that. But then I think they've got West Ham and Bournemouth. So no, West Ham and Tottenham at home the last game of the season, who might have nothing to play for. So listen, Leeds could lose every game and still stay up.
Yeah.
You know, if the teams below them don't pick anything up.
Well, here's my take on it, and I'm going to end up with egg in my face, but I'm just going to suggest to you now that Everton are going to scrape out by the skin of their teeth.
Yeah.
They've got 2 winnable games from the 4.
Yeah, and there's some big games coming up. They're all playing against each other. I think that Everton will just have enough, particularly at home. But I think Leeds will go down. I don't see the big Sam factor kicking in. I think that Leeds will go down, and deservedly so, after sacking another manager after 2 minutes.
Yeah, okay. Interesting stuff. And I've got to say, Ruffy, before we go, congratulations to Napoli. They've won their first Italian title in 33 years. They drew with Udinese. And you have to go back to the days when, I don't know about you, Ruffy, but on a Saturday morning, I would get up.
Gazzetta Football Italia.
And I just wanted to see James Richardson with a Knickerbocker Glory, a coffee, a wee biscuit there, and then Bush talking about the great players when Serie A was absolutely the dream place to be.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have been talking about Napoli. You'd be talking about all the big ones. You know, you'd be talking about Juves and the Milans. You know, I don't think.
Well, with all due respect, Ruffy, when I was watching it,
you
were talking about
the Maradona thing.
Oh, that's when you watched it.
I'm talking, I know, after that when Channel 4 come on.
Well, Channel 4 was on then.
I know, but you weren't really.
So
apart from that time.
So that Channel 4 is just the point that you're the team that suited you.
I obviously wasn't watching it then.
Yeah.
When I watched it, it was
AC Milan.
It was Milan, Juve, all the top ones. But
even Sampdoria.
Again, I would say that's
Sampdoria with Mancini and Vialli.
Right.
Yeah, that was good.
And that's the other downside of that is they won it away from home. Can you imagine they'd won it at home?
Yeah, well, can I just say something to you? Adam's doing a fantastic feature for Monday on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I have to say, I mean, they're still partying now. Some of them are not going home. It's going to continue right over the weekend in Napoli. That's absolutely a certainty. Of course, Maradona was there the last time they won 2 Serie A titles, so it was amazing. Everton, in the top flight, how many times have they stayed in the top flight? Out of the 123 seasons, they are in the top flight. 119 was the answer we were looking for. Listen,
they've never been relegated. I think they're one of the only clubs that's never been relegated.
Yeah. Just before we go, can I just mention to you that in the next couple of minutes we'll be releasing our one-to-one with the Fleetwood Town manager, Scott Brown, his backroom team, Barry Nicholson, Stephen Whittaker. And it was an absolute joy to go down and see Scott. The facilities are fantastic. And even as a neutral football fan, it's an interesting listen to him talking about Ange Postecoglou, Aberdeen, Barry Robson, of course his own ambitions at Fleetwood Town as well. Lots of great stuff from Scott Brown, well worth watching. You mentioned there Aberdeen, one of your old teammates has got the job there. What do you make of it?
Fantastic, he's done a great job. I spoke to him yesterday and I couldn't be any more prouder. And he's came in, he's dead honest for a big Highlander, and he loves the club. He knows what the club's about, and he's had 7 fantastic results in a row. Yes, it's going to be a hard game for him on Saturday, but I'm sure he'll relish that.
Yeah, he's got a good chief executive up there in Alan Burrows, and of course, from his own point of view, to get those wins, what other qualities do you think he's got that will really the Aberdeen fans will see and love?
He's just got enthusiasm as well. He's got passion for the club, as what every manager should have, and he buys into the whole understanding of the club's ethos as well, and he's came through, he's ticked all the boxes, and now he's had to wait for his opportunity. Yeah, he had it before for a couple of games, but he's had to wait for his opportunity to get a proper shot, and he's bided his time really well, and once he has got it, he's got that understanding of what he wants the lads to do, and he wants them to work hard, press high up the park, and win games, and they've been doing that really well.
Yeah, well worth watching. Bruni looking softer and more acceptable to the public.
Yeah, it's the first time I've seen him rehearse since he was 16 and my boot boy at Hibs. He had the red streak in the middle of it. But it's good to see him growing his Barnet out there.
Yeah, absolutely. One man who's not growing his Barnet, and back to the old grey Skechers is Ruffy. Some things never change. You need a little bit of a comfort to see him with
it's
the
looking a wee bit better now, you see.
Yeah.
Wednesday. You want to see it on Wednesday, by the way.
Into
wow.
the bone. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolute scalp to wee Robin.
Yep, superb. Good to see Ruffy here. Good to see Tam. Hopefully you'll join Tam and myself tomorrow, 4 o'clock, PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. And let's not forget, tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, Kerry sits here. Kerry Pollock has her own Saturday preview show with Tam and Ruffy, and she quizzes them. She gives them 4 or 5 questions to see who wins the quiz, and it's always good fun. Well worth it. PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel, Kerry Pollock and the team for the Saturday preview show. Join us if you can for all the football. We're trying to bring you managers and players' reaction on the Saturday early evening. I hope you can join us tomorrow for that. From Ruffy, Tam and myself, Peter Martin. Don't forget to watch Scott Brown, which is released now, and hit that subscribe button. We'll see you over the weekend.